By Safety Systems. Summer is vacation time, and if you want to feel safe about your home while you're away, call VFL JJ Surlis and the team at Safety Systems. Nobody's got a better, longer track record, offers better contracts, or gives you better service than Safety Systems. I've used them for years. I was visiting with another client of mine this week, and they said, hey, JJ Surlis was just out here. Big business using Safety Systems. You'll see their sticker in front yards and on the sides of businesses all over East Tennessee. There's a reason for that, folks. Trust Safety Systems, safetysystems.com to learn more. All right, let's put up another quote here. This one from Lane Kiffin, who made all kinds of headlines this week. We have this NIL. It's great. And this portal. It's great. Whoa. And I'm not saying I was the only one saying that. Whoa, this is a disaster coming because you just legalized cheating and you just told donors they can pay players is what you did. And it's supposed to be set up, well, really it's for your name, image, likeness, for your marketing. Again, that's not what happened. That's not what's happening. They're getting paid to go to school. So it's pay for play. I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying. Disaster might be taking a little bit farther, a little bit too far, but your take, gentlemen, Vince, you've been off for the last couple of segments. Your take on Lane Kiffin's comments that it's a disaster. Would he be saying that if he were at Southern Cal still or Alabama?
No, well, disaster coming, I think, gives it a different connotation than disaster now. Disaster now, a lot of things wouldn't be operating and you wouldn't have successful college seasons with great ratings and fan attendance and all that. So it's not a disaster, but it has the potential to be it is a mess, but it has the potential to be down the road if this continues and they can't get some sort of oversight to it.
Okay. Is that the way you took it?
I mean, sure, that's what he's getting at, but I think the answer is in what we showed earlier. One All-SEC pick at Ole Miss. If he was at a different school with a better roster, he probably would be singing a little bit different tune. I think,
and a bigger collective.
For sure. So I think, yeah, this system it works for programs that you would think it works for, and Ole Miss is not one of those places that traditionally you would think it's going to favor because there are other SEC powers that have more advantages when it comes to NIL and, pay for play or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, it's not working in Lane Kiffin's favor right now, probably, and he's losing players instead of winning a lot of battles. And they're trying to make themselves a transfer destination, but they're not winning enough battles.
And I will give him credit. He did say, look, I'm taking advantage of it with the transfer portal. So he's aware. It just sounds like someone that he's not happy about the way he's having to go about it.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, as I said, if he were at a bigger school, would he be complaining?
No, and maybe he's being honest, but I think they're making no more of a mess of it than they are of the coach, have been for years with the coaching market. You know, coaches can leave anytime, players can leave anytime. Now, if he's talking about tampering, different story, but overall, I don't think so.
He did make a point, though, that he said on my flight in here, I was thinking, what if Tom Brady, if LeBron James, if Lionel Messi could just become a free agent every year?
Every year. Mm-hmm.
There's something to that.
There is.
Yeah. Jimmy, your thoughts on what he said?
Well, is it harder for coaches to manage? Yes. Is it harder for fans to keep up with who's on what roster? Yes. Is it a disaster? No. It's a mess, but it's not a disaster. And
not a disaster.
Look at the ratings. You know, look at the TV ratings for college football. What's the second most popular sport to the NFL? College football, right? So to me, it's not a disaster. But you got a lot of things you would like to clean up.
But along those lines, it would take an awful lot for college football to start losing television ratings. I mean, what would they have to do? If that's what it takes to call it a disaster? I mean, what would you have to do to start losing ratings? I do think well, let's take it from a fan perspective. The mess versus disaster, I think that's true. I think it's the wording was a bit much. But from a fan's perspective, do you think they view it as a disaster, or do you think that's also only comes down to the size of your school and its collective?
If you're a Vanderbilt fan, you probably think this is a disaster. If you're a Tennessee fan or someone like that, you're probably thinking, this is okay. I think this is going to work out in the long run, and we're just a couple years into this. I think it's going to be one of the best times to be a fan of college football because there's going to be so much parity. Schools that are down are going to go bring in 40 new players and change their roster 1 year to the next. Colorado just brought in 60-some-odd players. Yeah. We'll see how they do. So there's never been a better time because you don't have to stay down. You used to have to stay down for years. Now you don't have to.
And you've started to have, and Sankey talked about doing an SEC-only NIL plan. I don't know how he works that out with the SEC states. That's part of the issue. They're pushing Congress. Congress started kicking around some ideas this week for what they would suggest happens. If you get some sort of nationwide NIL legislation, and if you take the transfer portals and weed, and they're trying to do this too, weed this down to one window, then I think you're in better shape. If you don't, then I think he's right about heading toward disaster, heading toward a mess. Anyway, your thoughts though, if Congress gets in, do you think Congress needs to get involved? Do you think the transfer portal needs to be adjusted, or do you just leave it as is?
Well, I thought Greg Sankey made some pretty good points when he was speaking in the main room about the reason why they ended up at Congress. It wasn't like, hey, we just want somebody else to fix our problems that we made. The states are all
right.
for
Yeah.
themselves.
No, you have. Yeah.
Yeah. There's other reasons. So I think he made some valid points there. I think that they're not going to make all the decisions for them, but I think some sort of guideline is a positive, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think you need something to help out because the states are all being
right.
very selfish.
Yeah, and that's why I don't know that he can come up with an SEC plan.
Right.
He didn't have the power of Congress. But my question: if they get the portal locked in, this is the date. It's going to be this for the next 20 years. If they have some sort of nationwide legislation where all the states have the same NIL laws, do you feel better about the situation than you do now?
I would, yeah. I think that's the only thing. I don't know that Congress can do much more. If people are thinking salary cap or something, never going to happen. Courts will shoot it down. The only thing you can do is maybe standardize the rules. If they can do that, and I think it changes a lot.
I did hear Sankey said he would like to see the transfer portal limited to a 2-week window.
Well, that is small. Okay.
That's not going to happen. No. That's something that I also think that if there's any congressional agreement on a national NIL deal, we're years away from that. Not weeks or months. I think we're years away.
Going to be interesting to see. All right, when we come back, the Athletics computer model has projected win totals across the SEC. Are they right about Tennessee's win total? Are they right about the other top teams in the SEC? We'll just show you the top 7. Kind of interesting. There's some teams I thought would be there that aren't. Come on back on the Sports Source.